Hey guys, and welcome to this week's video where I have traveled to Oslo, and in the next 2 days I'm gonna show you how to spend a perfect weekend in this beautiful city. Now let's get straight into it. So to get from the airport to the city center, you obviously have the option of taking a taxi, but since it's pretty far away from the city itself, I would recommend getting on a bus or a train. The bus took approximately 40 minutes and it costs 220 Norwegian crown. So I'm living a few kilometers away from the city center because I had a client job there, so for me it was just easier to live there. Obviously it costs way less if you are willing to be a little further away from the city center. So basically Oslo, where I live, is approximately 15 minutes with the train, and I think it's 4 stops, so even though I'm not living in the center, I'm pretty close to it. And as you arrive to the central station, you have your first stop right here at the tiger statue. Now you may wonder, why is a tiger in the middle of Oslo? Approximately 200 years ago, a famous author had a poem which was describing a fight between a tiger, which represented Oslo, and a horse which represented the countryside. Now basically what he meant is that the life here in Oslo or any big city is inhospitable, and now the leaders of this city explain it in a way that the tiger represents the action, the excitement that this city has to offer. So my second stop is the Royal Palace, which is right behind me. And if you didn't know, Norway is still a constitutional monarchy, so they do still have a king and a queen as their head of state. And the fun fact is that the King's Guard Colonel-in-Chief is actually a penguin. Now about 50 years ago they adopted a penguin from the Edinburgh Zoo from Scotland, and since then the name and the title passes down to each generation. So currently the Colonel-in-Chief of the King's Guard here in Norway is Nils Olav III. And if you are coming here during summer, you can see the change of the King's Guard here in front of the palace. So it's definitely a must-add to your Oslo trip. Now, if you are coming from the central station as I did, obviously you go to the Tiger first, and then you have to cross the Karl Johans gate, which is basically full of shops and restaurants, cafes. And at the end of the road you can see the palace itself. There's a few stairs, but it's a stunning location. And one thing I have noticed since the few hours I have been here is that Oslo has so many parks and so much greenery around. So if you like the mix of cities and nature, then this will be definitely one of your favorite cities to visit, because basically you can take a tram or a train out of the city half an hour away and you're already in nature hiking. So just a small walking distance from the Royal Palace you have Oslo's biggest park, and in that park you actually have the world's biggest sculpture park. A part you can see already behind me features more than 200 sculptures done by the same individual. So for the afternoon I headed to the port side of Oslo, and I came to a place called Aker Brygge. Maybe I'm pronouncing it right, probably I'm destroying all these names. Anyway, if you know Norwegian, sorry about that, I will put it here. It's famous for its bars, restaurants, and also tours for the fjord cruises are starting from here. So if you are in Oslo and if you do any of these, this is a must-add, and you will come across this place quite often. Basically this is the easiest place to eat at because they have so many options. The other parts of the city I haven't really seen as many restaurants as I see here in one place. So I did end up having a lunch here at the burger joint, which was very good. It cost around 300 Norwegian crown. I will put the USD here as well. But yeah, so if you are looking for good restaurants or bars, definitely come to this place. And as I'm here on the port side, I will slowly make my way back to the Opera House, but before I do that, there are quite a few spots I want to show you guys on the way. If you are coming to Oslo, I would highly recommend downloading and buying an Oslo Pass. You can get it for 1, 2 or 3 days, and it will simplify your life a lot because public transport is included and most of the tickets for the museums are included as well, or you have a discount on it as well as on restaurants. Right behind me you can see the Nobel Peace Center. The interesting thing is that they hand out the Nobel Peace Prize here, and all the other Nobel Prizes are handed out in Stockholm. Unfortunately, I cannot go in right now because it's under renovation. So this fortress played a huge part in history because in 1624 a great fire destroyed most of Oslo, and to prevent it to happen again they moved the city closer to this fortress right here, and to honor the king who was sitting on the throne at that time, who was King Christian IV, they renamed the city Christiania. Now they only named it back to Oslo about 100 years ago, and obviously ever since that it hasn't changed. That's why this fortress right behind me played a huge role in shaping the future of this city. Now if you're not coming for the museum, just come up here for the views because you actually see the whole harbor from up top. And that's right there is the Opera House, which stands out from the rest of the buildings because its unique architectural style. Now you can just simply go there and enjoy some performances, and you can overlook the whole city from above. The other thing you see quite often in the city is these floating saunas which are behind me here at the port right now. These are here next to the Opera House, but they also had it in other spots as well. Good morning guys! So the second day here in Oslo starts not in the city center but a bit further away. I have traveled to the oldest part of Oslo itself because there are 2 streets I was very interested in. Both of them are lined with wooden houses which were built around 200 years ago. And also at the end of one of the streets where I'm actually at, here you can see the Old Aker Church, which is actually the oldest remaining building in all of Oslo and the only remaining building from the Middle Ages. Now you will see in the footage that these streets are very steep and very narrow. So back in the days, these were the streets where poor people were allowed to build houses, and typically these were the places where the diseases spread the fastest because so many people were living in the same environment. But since then they tried to preserve the whole area as it is, so actually it's very calm here and you barely see any traffic going on. As you get to the bottom of these streets you will find Oslo's artistic district, which was developed from the industrial area of Oslo. There are a bunch of bars, restaurants and street art. And also the Akerselva river flows through this district, so if you want to get some nature again, or if you want to get some great photo opportunities, I would recommend walking along this river because it has quite a few waterfalls. Okay, so I spent a little bit more time around that river that I was originally planning to, just because for the second day I was planning to visit some of the museums here around Oslo, but since most of the buildings are under renovation right now, well, that was impossible to do. And now I came up to see Oslo from the other side. There is a sculpture park here as well, although it's not as big as the other one that we visited, the Vigeland Sculpture Park, and it's a collection of sculptures and not just done by the same artist. They have a museum here, but it's already closed because it's past 5 p.m. With the Oslo Pass, it's free to enter. I mostly came up here for this beautiful view. Basically, that's a wrap on my Oslo trip. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I spent around 1,500 Norwegian crown, which is approximately $150 US. That's excluding accommodation and the flights. And tomorrow I'm catching a flight to the Lofoten Islands, which I'm very excited about. It's a huge dream of mine to go there. But that's another video. Thanks for watching and see you guys in the next one.